What does your birth month reveal about your soul? According to Jung, this moment isn't random, it's sacred. It's when the soul enters time and brings forth the archetypal code of your essence. Healer, warrior, sage, lover. Each month activates different forces from the collective unconscious. The archetypes of birth aren't just symbols, they're hidden maps of your inner journey. Do you feel there's something within you that has always been there, even without explanation? What if the answer lies in the exact moment you were born? In this video, we'll explore how the archetypes of birth reveal who you truly are, and why the archetypal code of your soul never misses its path. At the very moment someone is born, something greater than what eyes can see happens. It's not just the body entering the world, it's the soul crossing a portal. There, silently, a journey begins that is much more symbolic than material. This moment marks the point when time begins to count for that existence, but what few realize is that this isn't ordinary time. It's as if the soul dives into what already sketched script, carrying images, sensations, and tendencies that belong to something older, larger, and more mysterious, the collective unconscious. Jung saw this birth as a crossing between planes where the human psyche begins to inhabit an archetypal narrative. It's not an exaggeration to say that each of us arrives in the world with certain symbolic seeds already planted. Imagine, for example, a child who from an early age feels called to care for others or to transform chaotic environments into something lighter. This doesn't come from nowhere. It's as if they carried this impulse from deep within, from something that predates their own personal history. These seeds, these invisible patterns, are archetypes, forces that shape not only personality, but the very meaning of the experience of living. And that's precisely where the fascination begins. When we understand birth as a symbolic entry point, we can perceive that there is an invisible thread connecting each person to a specific archetypal field. This explains why two siblings raised in the same environment can have such different vocations. The portal through which each passed, although physical, opens in unique ways on the symbolic plane. And it's at this exact point that we begin to perceive how time, far from being merely chronological, also vibrates at different symbolic frequencies. But that is a topic for the next step. Time isn't just a succession of seconds marking the tick-tock of the clock. In the symbolic vision that Jung inspired, each moment carries a quality, almost like its own melody that vibrates in the invisible. The month in which someone is born isn't random. It represents an energetic frequency, a kind of archetypal frame that envelops the soul in its first breath. It's as if the universe, at that exact moment, were tuned to a specific station, transmitting messages that mark the being. And just as the seasons of the year change, so do the symbolic tones that arrive with birth. Imagine that each month of the year is like a musical note in a larger symphony, where each person is born with a predominant note. January carries a different vibration from July, not just in climate, but in the way it shapes the soul's experience at birth. This is noticeable when we observe the behavior of groups of people born in similar periods. They share impulses, strengths, and even similar conflicts. It's not about generalizing, but about perceiving subtle patterns that repeat themselves, and at the same time are expressed uniquely in each individual. It's like hearing the same chord played by different instruments. When we start paying attention to the month we were born in and the type of energy it represents, we gain a powerful tool for self-knowledge. For example, someone who came into the world in April might feel called to protect what's essential in life, even without knowing why. Those born in December might live seeking deeper meanings, with a thirst to understand the whole. The proposal here isn't to constrain, but to open possibilities for interpretation. After all, what might that symbolic note that cradled our birth be trying to tell us? The 12 months of the year form a kind of archetypal mandala. Each month represents the expression of one or more universal archetypes, such as the healer, the warrior, the lover, and the sage. Thus, being born in a certain month indicates which of these symbolic patterns influence us most deeply, both in light and shadow. January represents the beginning, but also carries the weight of responsibility. Those born in this month are often guided by the archetype of the ruler, the one who structures, leads, and seeks order amid chaos. The light of this archetype manifests in the ability to plan, lead, and make decisions with clarity. But the shadow can appear in the form of rigidity, self-demand, and difficulty in allowing vulnerability. For those born in January, the unconscious challenge is precisely this: balancing control with surrender, strength with flexibility. Often, these people feel they need to carry the world on their shoulders, when in fact their true mastery lies in inspiring, not dominating. February brings the energy of transgression and freedom. Those born in this month are influenced by the archetype of the visionary, the one who breaks patterns, questions the established, and seeks a higher meaning for existence. The light of this archetype shines in originality, sharp intuition, and the search for collective transformation. But its shadow can manifest as isolation, blind rebellion, and a constant feeling of not belonging. It's as if these people felt from an early age that they came from another time, another place. February's challenge is learning to be different without disconnecting, finding a group where they can share their vision without needing to hide or rebel to be seen. March carries the energy of the emotional alchemist. Those born in this month have a profound ability to transform their emotions, often without even realizing it. The alchemist archetype brings a unique ability to dive into the depths of feeling and, through pain, create something new. However, this transformative force also carries a challenge: the risk of getting lost in emotions, of being consumed by the intensity of one's own experiences. March's true power lies in knowing how to balance between passion and reason, transforming feelings without drowning in them. Those born in this month may notice that, throughout life, there's a tendency to attract emotional crises, but each one serves a greater purpose, that of creating something new from within. April brings with it the archetype of the guardian of the essential. This is the month of those who value what is sacred, who have a deep relationship with life and death, with what remains and what passes. The guardian archetype reveals the need to protect that which has lasting value, whether in relation to material goods, relationships, or even spiritual beliefs. However, this connection with the essential can also generate fear of change, loss, or transformation. For those born in April, the greatest challenge is letting go of what no longer serves, recognizing the value of what is precious without clinging to what needs to be released is the key to finding peace. Those born in this month are called to be guardians of something greater than themselves, whether through caring for others or for their own principles. May, with its energy of the silent builder, is a month marked by solidity and inner strength. Those born in this period carry with them the builder archetype, a force that goes far beyond physical construction. May's builder is one who has a unique ability to create a solid foundation for themselves and others. This person generally prefers to act behind the scenes, away from the spotlight, but with an impact that is profound and lasting. May's challenge is the fear of insecurity. The need for stability can become excessive, blocking growth and change. The true power of this archetype resides in the ability to create deep roots, so that even in the face of adversity, everything that was built remains unshakable. June is the month of the guardian of the invisible, someone who has a direct connection with internal and spiritual worlds. Born under this influence, these people have a great ability to perceive what is not seen, to hear what is not said. The guardian archetype brings a silent wisdom, a deep understanding of what is beyond words. However, its great challenge lies in getting lost in the occult, leaving the material world aside and distancing oneself from everyday reality. For those born in June, the balance between the visible and invisible is fundamental. True wisdom does not reside only in understanding internal mysteries, but in applying this wisdom in the tangible world. June's invitation is to integrate spiritual knowledge in a practical and accessible way, connecting with daily life without losing depth. July brings the archetype of the silent healer. Those born in this month have a presence that transmits peace and healing, even without doing anything. July's healer has a deep empathy, capable of understanding others' pain and offering comfort that goes beyond words. Their greatest strength lies in their ability to touch people at a deep and transformative level. However, their shadow can emerge in the form of emotional overload, when the healer begins to carry others' pains as if they were their own. July's great challenge is learning to take care of oneself, to not absorb others' energies, and to understand that healing others doesn't mean sacrificing oneself. Their true power comes from the ability to be a beacon of light for others without getting lost in their darkness. August, in turn, brings the archetype of the spiritual leader. Those born in August generally have an indomitable inner strength, with a clear vision and an ability to inspire those around them. This archetype is one who guides, who takes others to higher places, whether on the spiritual or material plane. However, like any leader, the archetype's shadow can appear in the form of arrogance or pride, when the person begins to see themselves as infallible or superior to others. August's challenge is finding the balance between leadership and humility. True spiritual leadership is that which is based on compassion and the ability to listen, not just on imposition. Born in August, your path is to be a guide, but with humility and awareness that everyone is on a journey. September represents the harmonizer archetype. Those born in this month seek balance above all, whether in personal relationships, work, or their inner life. The harmonizer archetype brings a natural ability to create peace and resolve conflicts. Their greatest challenge is dealing with the tendency to please everyone, often neglecting their own needs. September's true strength lies in the ability to maintain serenity in the face of adversity and to seek common well-being without getting lost in conformity. September's path is to be a source of balance without giving up one's own authenticity and self-care. October brings the archetype of the soul lover. Those born in this month have a relentless search for deep connection, whether with others, with nature, or with the divine. The lover archetype is one who feels everything intensely and seeks meaning in everyday experiences. Their shadow can appear in the form of possessiveness or emotional dependency, when the search for connection becomes a desperate need. October's challenge is finding the balance between the desire to unite and the need to maintain one's own identity. The true power of the soul lover lies in their capacity to surrender to the moment, to live with intensity, but always with respect for their own and others' freedom. November, with its archetype of the deep transformer, is a month marked by radical changes. Those born in November generally have an incredible ability to bring about transformations, both in themselves and in others. This archetype is associated with death and rebirth, the end of cycles, and the emergence of something new. November's shadow can be the fear of destruction or loss, since the transformation process involves letting go. For those born in this month, the challenge is learning to be the catalyst for change without clinging to control of the process. November's true power resides in the courage to destroy old forms to create something more authentic and true. December, with the archetype of the master traveler, brings with it the energy of wisdom and expansion. Those born in this month have a broad vision of life, with a natural inclination toward philosophy, spirituality, and the search for greater meaning. The master traveler archetype represents one who is always in search of new perspectives, new horizons. December's shadow can be the tendency to distance oneself from practical reality, living in a world of ideas and concepts without a deep connection to day-to-day life. December's challenge is finding the balance between the search for wisdom and the practical application of that wisdom in the real world. The true power of this archetype is to be a guide for others, bringing light and clarity about the meaning of life. These archetypes aren't fixed labels, but symbolic keys. By recognizing them, we begin to get closer to who we really are. Jung presents us with an interesting perspective. He doesn't offer us ready-made answers, but rather an opportunity to interpret the symbols that inhabit our psyche. These symbols aren't random, but reflect deep patterns that guide our personal journey. The recognition of these archetypes is the first step toward a reunion with what the soul and the unconscious already know. In other words, the true journey of self-knowledge is more a process of remembering than of discovery. It's an awakening to what is already pulsing within us, waiting to be lived, like a flame that burns silently from the first breath of life. When we recognize these archetypes within us, we bring to light an enormous force that we often didn't even know we possessed. This process isn't about accepting a label, but about perceiving what unconsciously already governs our decisions and actions. The healer archetype, for example, may be present in someone who constantly feels the need to help others, whether by profession or by a genuine impulse of care. This recognition allows the person to connect with this quality consciously, using it in a healthy and integrative way. It's not that they become a fixed healer, but someone who can act wisely and in a balanced manner without falling into the excesses or shadows of that archetype. Jung invites us on a deep journey to our unconscious, a reunion with what our soul already knows, but which was lost or covered up along the way. Being born is just the beginning of this journey. The true power resides in remembering what is already within us. Each archetype carries with it a part of our truth, and recognizing this truth is what allows us to live authentically. When integrated, these archetypes aren't external forces or pressures to be followed, but energies that we can use to expand our own understanding and potential. As if each of us were a tree growing towards the sky with deep roots, firmly anchored in what we have been from the beginning. Which image touched you the most? The healer, the magician, the rebel? These symbols aren't just beautiful ideas, they're clues to what your soul wants to live. So, how would your life be if you started honoring this part of you? Have you been living as who you truly are, or as who they expect you to be? Jung said that the greatest gift of self-knowledge is becoming what one is. And what did your birth come to remind you of? Tell us in the comments. I want to know which archetype moved you the most. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to continue this journey with us. And if you want to go deeper, watch the video that's appearing on the screen now. It will help you understand what dreams reveal about the archetypes living within you.